Well, hello, folks. How's everyone doing today? It is the 3rd of June already, 2025. And just a response to a couple of questions about if I had any hobbies, interests, collections, things like that. And only thing I can tell you is, or if I had a man cave. No. Only thing I have a little cabinet of curiosity I've collected up over years. That's all I have. And so my interests and hobbies, of course, are all with making YouTube videos, and an old retired guy like myself, and also my family. Anyways, this is it. We'll take a little look. That's all I have. So there, we'll go on to the next thing. We'll take a look down here at the base. These are old bricks and debris. I have to laugh about that. Old buildings around our area here that have been raised over the years, some of them historical. One of the bricks, a chunk of a brick from one of the Colony Farms dwellings out at the asylum, 1890. Bill Knapp's restaurant. Yep, you betcha. The T-Mobile building downtown. Valley One, WMU. Let's see here. There was the Allen Boulevard fire, arson fire. 3 homes burned to the ground. That was a brick out of one of them. The Bernhard Center, WMU, and so forth. I have to honor old Sportsman Center Bar, old Sporties down at Vine and Mills. They were raised back in January a year ago. The only thing I could find there, they had no bricks, was a piece of wall debris, a 2x4 with a big spike nail through it. There you go. And I wonder if that was a rusty nail. There's some old authentic blowtorches. 45s right there. There are Elvis Presley and Johnny Cash there. An old axe head I found, and a big old dead tree that I had cut down and taken out of here about 5 years ago. That was stuck in the base of it. I had it checked out. It's about 80 years old, probably been in the tree 40-45 years. Cleaned it all up and put it down there. A few of my books. These are items I picked up from flea markets and yard sales. Most of it very cheap. I don't pay much for any of this stuff. There's nothing you see here that I paid more than $1.50 for. As a matter of fact, this Janus control bottle and the brown bottle of embalming material next to it, those two right there, they wanted 50 cents a piece for them, or two for 75. Well, that was 75 cents for the pair. The rest of a lot of the stuff is Russian. Pick it up on the tables for $1 a piece. Things like that. These items here in the shadow boxes I brought back from West Germany when I served over there, 1979, 1980, and went to different shops and so forth and picked these things up very inexpensively back then. I believe everything. Well, there's some coins and all 3 of the wound badges. This is a Imperial metal bar from World War I. This is my patch, my lifetime member of the Grafenwehr Rod and Gun Club in Bavaria. Other things in here picked up. Original Volkswagen pin from back in the day. Party pin over on the right. Couple things have fallen down. I have them stuck up in there. Cuff banner and trapezoidal cap device. So forth. SS. Those are all real, and same as the Luftwaffe belt buckle. If you notice Sergeant Schultz on Hogan's Heroes, that be his buckle. On top is things, again, yard sales going. There's nothing up here that I paid more than $2 for. And I'll show you which piece of it. Old reels from the Shakespeare Company made downtown in Kalamazoo. Minnow bucket, so forth. I paid $2 for this Art Deco thermos. It was at a yard sale. It is the original cork. Well, original to the day I bought it. It's an old cork. I don't know if it was original to the bottle, but it doesn't matter. The bottle's cool. It's undamaged. And we'll go over here and look at the rest of this kitchenalia. Have to laugh about kitchenalia. You know, it's just old kitchen junk. A lot of these things here were 25 cents, 10 cents. Yep. The gray lug bucket, and we know what that is. Has to do with outhouses and so forth. That was $1. Yep, it was a church yard sale. I took them up on it. Yep. Let's see, some more books, some reading and so forth. There's a picture of myself and my mother and father. I was about 3. We were heading out to California on business to Los Angeles. It was my first time on a plane. And as I remember, we flew on a DC-3 from Kalamazoo to Chicago, and then from Chicago out west to some connection on a Constellation, a Lockheed Constellation. That's quite a plane. I can remember my dad looking out the window there at the airport at the plane and then telling me, he said, "Eddie, you're going to have a real ride. That's a real airplane there. 4 propellers. Look up Lockheed Constellation." I was on it, dressed like that. There you go. Anyways, a lot of other little ditties. That's my real Hopalong cup. My mother bought me when I was a little boy, probably about the age of wearing that picture that you seen just earlier there. Wasn't until a couple years ago I seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Said, "Hey, look at DiCaprio. He's got a set of them." I didn't even know that there was more than just the blue one. And so I started looking them up here and there. And over about, 2 years' time, I found the other ones. But it was really cool. They were about $7 or $8 for the black one and the green one a piece. But the red ones, look at that. They're $24. And the lady sat there and told me, she says, "You got to buy both of them. I'm just not going to sell one." And I says, "Well, 24 is pretty high." She says, $10 for the pair. I gave her $10 and I left the tag on there. And so I have a set. I hear that there's also a yellow one, but who knows? This one right here I found at a yard sale as well. That was 50 cents. Yeah. Megalodon tooth, we know about those. That's a real megalodon tooth, a smaller one, set above a vertebrae of a whale. Also a fossil from back in the day. It's the prey of the megalodon, one of its prey. Petoskey stones. This Jeep stone right here, a little one behind it, came out of the rear suspension of my Jeep. For 2 years after I bought that, from the whole time while I bought it used in 2020, it was 2 years old. But for the first 2 years, man, every little bump I hit, it sounded like something was coming loose in the rear end. And I kept checking it, getting on there and looking, and I had them check the shocks, the whole thing, and nothing. And so finally I got fed up with it. I took the wheel off myself and started looking, and couldn't see a thing. So I brought it into a friend of mine who said, "Look, I'll find out what's wrong." And so he put it up on the rack and started looking. He said, "Come here, look at this." These 2 rocks were down in a place back in that suspension. They had to have been placed there. They could not have gotten there by driving like crazy through the dirt or something like that. They were legitimately placed up in there to make that sound. And he showed me, exactly where the whole deal, where they were at. And it cost me $20, not a problem, because it took him about an hour. and found the problem. And there they are, my Jeep rocks. Yep, son of a guns. Whoever did that, I don't know. Anyways, other little things. Again, yard sales, nickel and dime stuff. I don't have money to spend on a bunch of things. This is kind of cool old alcohol burners, so forth. Relative decided to give me a gift one time. And I have the letter of authenticity, and it's like NGC certified, the whole deal, whatever. It's a sealed case with a certification of 2 of John Wayne Gacy's business cards from back in the day. And also came with this cup, no time for clowning around, and this reproduction drawing that the guy used to draw art. Anyways, and I thought, well, that's an awful strange gift, but it's awful, I'll put it somewheres one day. And I got this little place here. I started reading a lot about other creeps. I had a little time to do that, and so I picked up several books on Manson. And they're probably the best ones ever written about him, including Member of the Family by Diane Lake. Move the dock here. Yeah, these are very interesting books, and you find out what a creep, and some of these women, oh my gosh, they were issued to, we'll say, man, and just think, there's a whole lot more of that out there right now today than what you'd ever believe. And creeps like that right there, too. They find them all the time. These, on a lighter note, these are my cameras now. This was my mother's, the first one. I learned to take pictures of that. A 174 automatic, that was my father's. This has the flash cube. We brought that down the Colorado River with us back between when I was just going into 8th grade. This I bought at a yard sale, $5. My 35 is gone, and I just wanted to have a 35 here to show people when they come over here. This is a 35, so $5. It functions, there you go. $1 for the old Polaroid. Yep, yard sale. Again, more of my bricks. I have about a dozen downtown down the basement. There's too much to put up here. I don't like clutter, well, that much. Westnedge Hill, these are some street bricks. Old brick streets that were tore up. Authentic license plates and that. There's old family phone. Kellogg phone. Not a family phone. See right here on the speaker, the Kellogg. It is complete. It is complete. The generator works. Yep, couple old canes. These are mostly my daughter's in here. She doesn't have a real spot to put these safely in her home with a baby there. Have a toddler in the house, and so we keep these over here. Have a good safe spot for them here. Of course, we see a couple things here on the top that belong to me. Mascots, beautiful Art Deco stuff. Everything here original. This is hard to find. This is a Colt, a little 45, but it is intact. All the glass around the trigger, the hammer, the front sight, everything. It is unshipped, unbroken. And it's really hard to find them like that. That's a super little thing. Colt collectors probably like that. It's not for sale. Then we get into my daughter's Kitchenalia. Look at this. Look at all the Kitchenalia. Oh boy. Down here in the bottom too, she puts the bigger stuff. Cookie jars and all that kind of stuff. Kitchenalia. This was the cannon that I was assigned to back in 79 and 80. It's an M109 Alpha 1 self-propelled howitzer, 155 millimeter. They fire 100-pound artillery shells, about 12.5 to 14 miles with rocket assist. They also fire something known as an AFAP. It's an artillery-fired atomic projectile. They're nuclear capable. Yes, we had the golden bullet over there. Just in case the balloon went up and the Warsaw Pact came across that border at the Fulda Gap, we were a nuclear capable line unit right there, ready to pull the lanyard. Never happened. The wall came down. Same division Elvis Presley served in, on the same post in the 3rd Armored Division. Well, folks, that is pretty much it. My little workout area too. Have a couple of pictures over here. Probably wondered who this beautiful lady is up here, and the handsome fella, that's my mother and her brother, Jay. He had just graduated from high school, and my mother was a school teacher, that picture, just before World War II. He went and got a little more training and entered the Army as a surgical technician and landed at D-Day, Normandy, the first wave, and survived all the way through the Battle of the Ardennes, which was the Battle of the Bulge, as a surgical technician right in the field, right in the front line. And then he was called back to the rear areas. I think they sent him to France and then to England to operate, and as a surgical technician in the rear, his services were needed. And then he went from there back home. Yep, my mother started working at the GM factory in Grand Rapids, Michigan. At first, she was building fuel injectors for aircraft. And then they had her driving vehicles. They found out that she could drive. She knew the gears. And back before the war, they lived up north in Manton. My Uncle Jay there had a business picking up farm call, dead animals from the farms. He had a flatbed truck and a winch, a hand winch, and they'd pull them up, and my mom would help them. They'd winch the dead animals up, and then he'd take them over to the Valley Chemical Company near Midland, Michigan, and sell them for the bones and tallow and the hide. And that's how they made some money. That's how they made their money. And then things went on, and the war happened. My uncle came back and worked successfully raising a family and operating a large rendering facility in bones and tallow and hides and you name it at the Chicago stockyards for many years until he passed away. Yep. There you go. Little family history. Pretty cool. Over here in this area is just some military letters that I received, some good things. This is an original Navajo medicine wheel I bought from the artist in the Four Corners area. She does fantastic work, and I don't mind telling you that it is a valuable little piece. Super cool. The other items over here, a picture that my grandson drew, who, when he drew this, he was, let's see, he was just 10 years old, 11 years old. He drew that in 1 hour. 1 hour's time. I gave him that canvas and he went after it. My little 16-month-old grandson, when he was even a little younger than that, put some crayons in his hands. He was 5 months old. And a little Kai, he drew me some pictures. This is my mother's sister. Her name is Cecilia. She was known as Seal. Seal Versellini. And she was a nurse in World War I. This is my father, the Marine Corps. This is his group out in Camp Pendleton in San Diego, 1943. And you know they have some stories. And you know that many of those faces right there never returned. Another picture from 43, San Diego. This is from my Uncle Tom. He was in the Army for a couple of years in Vietnam, came back, joined the Marine Corps, went back to Nam. And so there's his Marine Corps picture. There's my little picture from graduation. Well, not graduation, but our platoon picture. And this is just terrible. Look at the gig line on that guy right there. Look at the t-shirt. I should have been pulled right off that line. I'm a squad leader and everything else. With a t-shirt, you would never find that in the Marine Corps. You know why? Because they wore ties. All that wild gig line t-shirt stuff. I call myself out on that every time I see it. Right there's good for 100 push-ups and to lose your stripes. It should be ashamed of yourself. But that's the way it was. Fella right here with a bushy, dark black hair and the glasses right there in the center. He was an undercover drug agent that they put into each platoon back in the day. Could you tell? Everybody else's, their hair is shaved, their heads are shaved, butch haircut. Look at this guy. Hey, you there, with that joint. You know, can you believe that? It's the truth. Yep, look at this guy. Yeah. Well, that's what happens. We'll give that one a red light. Beep. So anyway, there's the history of the whole dang thing. Be right back. Okay, thanks again for being with me here today. A little tour. What's going on? See you in the next one. Should be clearing up by the end of the day here today. All the smoke coming down from Canada. Yep. Still hazy outside of the little clouds we have. Anyways, that's what's going on. Thanks again for subscribing. And remember, you like these, please hit that notification bell and a thumbs up. I sure appreciate it. See you in the next one. Stay safe out there.